You're listening to the Board Game Snobs podcast, a ridiculous podcast with ridiculous hosts that discuss ridiculous things. And any mention of board games is purely coincidental. And so, without further ado, and with a heavy dollop of shame and embarrassment on my part, I give you the Board Game Snobs.
Go.
Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. This is Jerry.
This is Gaby.
This is Enrique.
If you have questions regarding this podcast, please send an email to boardgamesnobs@gmail.com.
Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts.
And come join our Patreon. Give us money. We appreciate anybody. If you give us money, we appreciate you. Even if you don't give us money, that's fine. But we appreciate you slightly less, because that's all that we have to give back to our Patreoners is respect. We also have a Facebook page for all you middle-aged people out there, because I enjoy Facebook. We also have a Discord for the young hip people, which I can't quite seem to understand that Discord.
I don't think there's a whole lot of young hip people in it, except for some middle-aged folks.
Ryan Maxwell's in it. He's hip.
And as I said, middle-aged. He's middle-aged.
He is, I guess.
He might be hip. You're going to be middle-aged and hip.
He'll need a hip soon if he keeps bowling like that. So anyways, we had a fun time at BGG. We played several different games. This is our last episode regarding BGG because we have talked it into the ground. This BGG was it was the best BGG. It was also the worst BGG for me.
A tale of two BGGs, one might say.
I got to sit by and talk to Alan R. Moon, the famed designer of the most popular thing ever.
Alan Everyone's Moon,
yes,
in my opinion.
Over the moon. Quite humble. Very nice. I did get to play like a
humble pie,
like a little joke on him.
Moon pie.
You were going to go that way. Nobody really likes moon pies. But they kind of have a texture.
They got that marshmallow cream that I like.
I showed people something when we're talking about moon pies. Showed somebody a move for s'mores while we were camping that I thought was well known. I'm going to spread this gospel now. Because everybody bought stuff to make s'mores, and I bought Nutty Buddies. And I proceeded to take the Nutty Buddies out and make s'mores with the Nutty Buddies. Because the Nutty Buddies are the little black-coated wafers that got peanut butter in it. You just use those, and you cook your marshmallow, and you put the marshmallow in between those. Because it adds the peanut butter, and it has the chocolate and the graham cracker in it already.
You talking about the wafers?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I thought people knew that combination is amazing. And people saw me do that and they acted like I invented that. I may have invented that, not known it, but I thought that was common knowledge. You use Nutty Buddies to make s'mores.
That's the first I'm hearing of it, but I'm not a s'mores guy.
I'm not a traditional s'mores guy, but I am a Nutty Buddies s'more guy. I like that a lot. And I didn't know that other people did not know. So anyways, I introduced that to several people, which I was pleased to. Also, back to Alan R. Moon, I got to ask him several questions, and I played a delightful prank on him. After he sat down and everybody was like asking, "Oh, are you Alan R. Moon?" He's like, "No, but he's much better looking than I am." I kept doing that humble thing. So finally, after talking to him for a brief time, we're playing poker at the tournament there, the little friendly tournament they have at BGG. The guy that was dealing says, "I think we should, everybody's names at the table. Can we just introduce ourselves real fast?" And I'm sitting right next to Alan R. Moon. Like, and the guy says, "My name's David." And this guy says, "My name's this." And and it got to me. I said, "My name's Jerry." And I looked over, I said, "And this is Alan." Like nobody didn't know who this was. And everybody he kind of chuckled and went about his business. I asked him what his favorite game was and all that. And strangely enough, his answers were all related. If you go to his BGG page, he has a little Wikipedia thing on his BGG page where you can kind of look at their profiles as a designer. He talks up several games. He loved Pandemic Legacy, that Pandemic Year Zero. He loved Dice Miner or something like that. He names it on the game. And then he showed me pictures of his new reprint of a game that I guess of his that is quite popular that's being reprinted. And I don't know if I should say the name of it because he acted very coy. He probably didn't know that I had a podcast with tens of listeners. So anyways.
Don't betray his trust.
I'm not going to betray Mr. Moon's trust. Either way.
If he was really trying to be incognito, though.
He wasn't. He couldn't have been. But I mean, I will say his profile pictures, he looks different. He's gotten much older. He hasn't updated them in a while.
Okay.
So, I mean, like, if it wasn't for the R in his name.
Right.
Alan R. Moon.
Just Al.
Alan Moon doesn't sound as right now that you've heard Alan R. Moon.
Alan, he could even go lunar.
Yes.
Al Lunar.
Al Lunar. Yeah. See,
that's what I would do.
But you probably didn't.
Didn't wear sunglasses and a hat everywhere I go. Just like really try to pretend like, oh God, everybody knows me when no one knows you. You're just like trying to duck and swerve.
If I was Alan R. Moon, I would do that
please.
all the time. Do you not know who I am? I invented the most popular board game.
Just like anybody that addresses you, just like, all right, where do you want it? And just like break out your pen and marking.
I would carry around. Did you hear that David, is it Crusoe, the redheaded guy on Miami Vice? He used to carry around pre-signed autographs of his picture just to give to people. I would do that. That would be me. If I had gained the least bit of fame. Just, Dan Hughes, your buddy, he's doing that already.
Yeah.
We're going.
Sign stuff.
I love the car.
Sign every box of Core
I'm tired
Quest.
of hearing about Core Quest. Well, no, yeah. He's just flabbergasting about that everywhere. So, yeah, I would do that. I'd be out there signing stuff.
Just have a stamp. Is that not the same as both ink? Just stamp it.
I don't think it's exactly the same because stamps, each signature is slightly different. That's a personal touch to it. Anyways, so that was fun. We won the mega game. Then we almost went to the final table at Battling Tops. I got beat out. Snifty Snakes won again last year. If you know, you know. And let's see. I got sick. I think I got COVID the last night. We didn't get to stay Sunday. I had to drag home. Oh, sorry about that, Christian. I plotted to stay all day Sunday because Christian and we're going to stay. I know you leave early, but you leave early for personal reasons. You can't sleep in the same bed more than 3 nights in a row unless it's your own. You just can't handle it.
I require, my wife says I require the 3 C's. Cleanliness, which I cleaned up behind y'all all week. I don't know if y'all even noticed.
I did.
Probably not.
I did.
Comfort. And cool. I have to be.
And those rooms aren't really that cool.
Like, not hip, but like temperature-wise cool.
They're not.
We had that thing set on 65, it never got down there.
Not nice.
So I have required those things. And when I don't get those 3 things, I can go without one of them maybe. But I require most of the times all 3. And the only place I can get all 3 is in my own home. And before I go back to work, I have to have like a day of decompression. And some people are like, you're out playing games and having fun. What do you need to, that's just me. I got to come home, sit on the couch and like watch TV all day to get ready for the next day. Does that make sense? No, makes no sense.
It doesn't.
But that's me.
Doesn't sound healthy.
Probably not.
And it irritates me just hearing you say that.
I'm sure it does.
And I'm withholding, not saying
You're probably
anything.
losing respect for me now.
I'm not. I've gained respect. My respect meter for you has gone up.
Through the roof.
And because you do something contrary to what I prefer does not mean that you are in some way inferior to me.
I don't understand how you can game all day.
I game all day.
Travel home.
I travel.
And then go to work the next morning. I'm exhausted.
I go and see my kids and start doing stuff.
That's right. You go home to a house full of children.
And interact with people.
And have to be actively involved in their lives.
And say, I love you, Daddy.
So they recognize, oh, this is my father and he cares for me.
Yes. I can't just go home and be like, "Oh, I got to sit and watch four seasons of Seinfeld before I can go back to my job of answering."
No,
see, I'm doing it again. Why are you baiting me? No, I didn't say that.
I'm currently involved watching the Gilded Age on HBO.
What? That sounds awful. They do horses, or what is it?
No, it's the Gilded, as in like fancy.
Oh, Gilded.
It's Downton Abbey in America.
Oh,
and it even has the same guy that created it.
Who's like Gilded? Like, is it Plantation? What is this?
No, they're based in New York.
Oh,
it's like 18
Northerners,
right before the 20th century.
Christians people.
Yes, and it's not a good show, but the presentation of it is very enjoyable.
Rich white people problems.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
Well, I won't watch shows that are just rich white people. I hate that. I find it boring. I don't understand what is
and it's like the upper class
that.
And lower class and seeing how they are all treated.
Down with all the classes.
It's a soap opera.
I'm not
a classic. A soap opera, and I am in.
I don't like that stuff, but I respect those who do. And I don't have a problem with that at all.
There's one thing that shows you respect things. It's just saying I respect it constantly.
I have found that out when people say things now and I disagree with it. I just yell at the end of it, "I respect your opinion." And I'll say terrible things and then, "I respect your opinion." And it's working fine.
The creator of Downton Abbey and of this show, and I say his name this way every time the show starts, is Julian Fellows.
Julian Fellows?
But when the show starts and his name pops up on the screen, I say, "Julian Fellows," because obviously that's like the snobby voice in my mind for English people.
Right.
And so every show is like tradition now.
Dan Hughes.
When the name pops up, my wife looks at me and I say, "Julian Fellows." Oh. And we laugh as we drink our martinis.
That's Dan Hughes. Mr. Delicio, you've pulled the cart around.
Dan Hughes. With me today, Mike Delizio. Mike, what is this theme song? Hear a knock at your door. Well, Dan, I think that starred Don Knotts and what's the other guy's name that died making the other show?
That critter.
Idiot. You know, it's been a while since they've put out an episode. Actually, by the time this episode comes out, they may have.
Who knows?
They have yet to put out their 100th.
I don't listen to them.
They did a 101, coyly missing their episode 100 that they keep proclaiming is going to be a big show.
God, that's stupid when people do that.
I mean, like, we put out 99.1 if you're going to do that.
Hey, why are you being so meta?
99.1.
You can be meta if you want to, and I respect it.
KBGS. All right.
This is not very good.
I like it. Are you here?
My God.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm here.
So
he over there, he like giggles to himself like he can't giggle on mic.
Oh, yeah.
And people like to know that you're here.
I know.
Just breathe into the mic. I respect that. All right. Keeping with the spirit of this podcast and rich white people problems.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Go.
Let's talk about Spirit Island. Because in that game, you're fighting the settlers and the various towns and villages. I only got to play.
You're warding off the settlers of Catan.
Basically.
That's what you're doing.
Which I have an idea.
White people. And they literally are white people. Colonialism. I didn't realize in this game, I was thinking this was like a fantasy world. No, it's got like, the colonizers are
Spaniards.
Yeah. England, Prussia, Brandenburg, Prussia, or something.
Brandenburg.
Weird. But England was in there.
Prussia's over like Germany-ish.
Yeah.
Polanish.
Poland-ish.
Polski is what you're looking for.
Polski is what I dance on.
Yes.
Dansky on the Polski.
Went to a Polish strip club. Just a bunch of Poles. Is that a joke you're trying to make? Is that it?
No, we're good.
But in Spirit Island, which was taught to us by the editor of the rule book, Mr. Brian Blankstein of the Bearstein Blanksteins. He was a great guy. He taught the game. I hope he listens to our podcast. You know what? I don't think I ever told him that we have a podcast because we were very complimentary towards him. I enjoyed him thoroughly. Didn't Enrique?
I like how you're looking toward me. Well,
he's looking stuff up. You're supposed to.
Am I stepping up?
What did you think of Blanking?
Blanking, I wasn't around him too much.
Okay,
sadly.
well that's a negative.
Like I'm sorry.
Well, rate him.
Rate him
Scale of 1 to 10.
an 8.
Wow, you weren't around him that much. Give me. What do you think, Christian?
Christian, he's what I thought
He's
He
what you
would-
thought.
he would be. Very, very upbeat. So it's a 10.
He's very upbeat. Okay,
Yeah, he is.
okay, he's a 10. All right, that's good because
Yep.
he's the president of your fan club.
I know he is.
Anyways, Spirit Island. In Spirit Island, you're trying to push colonizers off an island, and you are the various powers of said island, kind of like Captain Planet. You got fire, earth, water, wind, heart. That poor kid. Remember Captain Planet? That one, heart.
I never liked Captain
It
Planet.
weirded me out because
I don't
here's
like
the
it.
thing. The same thing with the Power Rangers. Same thing with Captain Planet. When they all put their hands together or their rings together or whatever, and then they become this much better thing. Here's my thing. Why not just do that thing immediately?
Yeah.
At the beginning, if me, you, and Enrique could go, oh, board game snob power, and we all converge into some other ultimate snob,
And we become the secret cabal.
then why would we just not do that all of a sudden?
Well, it's the same thing with
I feel myself becoming Jamie.
it's the same thing.
Hey guys, what were you up to today? Just say anything and I'll laugh while you say it.
Well, today I had a few beers.
Oh, you scoundrel! No, really, I really do like Secret Cabal.
I do
What do you
too.
say? I do too.
Ben just had I'd say just
the
several
lar-
episodes ago. Jamie was on Ben's show, 5 Games for
Really?
Doomsday. It was really good.
I like Ben.
And Ben also just had on Rodney.
I would like to say that somebody, I'm going to point this out. At BGG, you were wearing your Ben Maddox shirt, which is the Big Trouble in Little China shirt, right?
I don't think anybody gets it.
And it's just
And
Ben
not one person said to me, "Oh, you love Ben."
And that's what made you mad is somebody said, I like your, somebody said your shirt, point out your shirt, and you thought they knew Ben. And you're like, yeah. And you're like, who is that? And
I
you're
was
like,
how?
it's Ben Maddox. And
Ben Mad Dog Maddox should be that's the shirt because he's what'd you say it was? The reference?
it's Big Trouble in Little
Big
China.
Trouble in China, yes. Because he's like shirtless and got big guns and he's like looking at the armrest. So I thought it was like over the top reference.
I don't think it was over the top.
But anyway, I love Ben. I love his show. He's had 2 really good. Okay, I'm partial to them because for one, I don't listen to shows with the designers of games.
Those guys are boring. Alan R. Moon about put me to sleep.
I just, for
No.
lack of a better term, I don't care. I'm not interested in designing a game myself. I enjoy your game. I appreciate that. Hearing the process,
Yeah.
I don't care. But now, this is the good thing about Ben, though, and this is the tangent, but Ben gets into other nitty-gritty things about their life, and that's why his show
He
is
does.
over the top better. Oh, no, that's not the shirt. That's why his show is better than most other interview shows, because he does get into the... It's not just, so what was your process? It's way more than that. He gets into their personal lives.
Where do you get your ideas?
Theme or mechanic first.
What made you drawn to this theme?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, no, he gets into some deep stuff. And
We're
that's-
not making fun of you, Dick Simpson. You ask great questions, all right? Like,
don't mess with Tricky Dick.
what's your favorite pudding?
I like Dick.
He always does his impression of me. Leave that, because I'll be cutting that one for a good mic drop moment. Thank you so much.
Tricky Dick
I
Simpson.
love that guy.
Yes.
He's great. You had Luke somebody on. Luke
Pryor.
yeah.
I prefer Luke Former.
Previously.
Here's the thing with Dear Richard. I think he's got some of my issues. Self-esteem. Because he's always asking,
Do y'all even listen to this show?
Basically, is anybody listening? How many listeners are required, etc. Richard, you're a wonderful podcaster. We love you. You have a great show.
Doesn't matter what your numbers are.
Don't worry about your numbers,
Be
even
you.
though I'm obsessed with our own.
Yeah.
But just continue being you, a wonderful person.
It's easy for you to say that when you're on top. Nah. So yeah, looking down upon everybody else. Don't worry, you're doing great. Be yourself. No. I say change who you are. Do what you have to do to climb. Get those numbers, engagements, clicks, whatever you have to do.
And that's the thing.
That's key.
We don't.
Do anything.
We have a hard time engaging because it is a full-time job.
Nobody needs. Yeah, we're always engaged.
you have to be on Twitter. You had to be on Instagram. You had to be on all these social media outlets posting pictures saying, what did you think? How did y'all feel? How are y'all doing? What's this? What's that? What's going on? We do that quite a bit in Facebook. We limit it to Facebook, Discord. I jump in there every now and then, but it kind of maintains itself.
I get on Twitter to stir up trouble.
Twitter, I don't even. I made a post about Ben's shows on X here lately because I just don't mess with Twitter no more. I don't care about Twitter.
Gotcha.
So anyway,
You don't like Elon.
I don't care for Elon.
What? Oh,
I mean, he appears to be kind of a doofus.
who says?
I mean, clearly he's a genius in some regards, but a doofus in others.
You got money.
Well, yeah.
You got up there
He's
somehow.
a billionaire.
You got up there somehow.
But anyway,
Making cars that run off
neither
water
here-
and space.
If you could name a vehicle that ran on water, what would you call it?
Aquafina.
Oh, that's already
that's
a person
right.
and a water.
Oh. A car that runs on water? Like it drives on water?
No, it's fueled by
It's
water.
fueled by water. I would call it
H2Go.
no
Aquafil.
Huh?
Aquafil.
aquafeel.
Yeah.
Aquafeel.
Like feel
Feel.
like
Feeling like tactile or feel.
Like
your voices needs to be cleared.
It's fine.
I know.
No, don't let him clear it. No, so
We
aquafeel.
love the
yeah,
flimmy
aquafil.
rasping.
So like okay, aquafeel.
Like my feelings or my fillings. FEEL or FILL.
How does this make you feel, or would you like a refill? Or
We need to know, and you have yet to answer.
Well,
you
you guys,
you stare at us blankly.
I gave you a
I
name.
don't think you know. I don't know. Quit looking at me.
it just looked away. Oh my god. Okay, is it feel like you aqua filling up the car, or
Well,
aqua?
no, give me another option. Answer yes to that. Yes or no?
What to the?
Yeah,
Oh my
aqua
God, he doesn't
fill.
know.
Fill up water. That would be aqua fill. This
Is that
is
it?
It might as well be.
Oh, okay.
So,
He doesn't
doesn't
know.
know.
He
He literally doesn't know.
But that's a good name.
Were you even aware there are two different meanings to that term?
No, I did not.
I'd call
Learn
it
something new every
call
day.
it the water whip.
That's pretty good.
That's catchy. The kids would like
That's
it.
pretty good.
It would be kind of wavy, like a soul. They think, "Where's your whip? Your water whip."
Yeah, I got you.
Or Aquacell is a toothpaste, isn't it?
Well, I mean, does it have to have a reference to water?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't.
You said
does.
H2Go.
Well, I mean, I made the reference myself. I'm just I'm posing the question. We've all made it related to water. In this scenario, a car fueled by water.
Well, you're looking at like branding. You want it to be aqua something. If it runs
Right.
off water, you don't want to call it something weird. I think I would name it something tropical. Like this is the something Bahama.
Moist.
No, that's not tropical. I'm saying like an island.
Dank.
The Dank.
Dank ride.
Yeah, dude, that's what the water truck would be.
The Dank.
To be the Dank.
The Dankiac.
The Dank. No, it's the Dank. It's like a Ford Dank.
The Ford Dank.
The Ford Dank. You tired of driving, you know that gas? What you need is a Dank. And then just be this big old truck that gets 8 miles per tank. Because there's no way you could propel this thing that much water.
You just got a 50-gallon tank of
Fill
water
your
in
tank.
the back.
with the Dank. It's just water. I think that would be
And it has water cannons to break up riots.
correct. Because
Whatever
people will be
riots you were-
riding.
When they realize.
Not in my town. Driver, the Dank. And then everybody, and it's like,
water cannons blasted everywhere.
has a microphone thing. You can talk to people. I was like, get ready to get moist. And just turn the water cannon on as you're going down the road. This car is not. Hope you.
And you just make like water puns like Schwarzenegger did in that movie.
Making it rain.
Time to make it rain.
Call me Elon. This is a great idea. This might be something. The electric cars all Friday as you drive by, watering them down.
Or you go by like, maybe you drive by someone doing some illicit deed and water cannon them. And you're like, time to wash away your sins.
It's just you're baptized. Just drive around spraying everybody. Yes, say.
Come on in, boys. The water is fine.
Oh, Lord. I have no idea how we
What
got
was
on.
that?
I don't know. There's Oh, Enrique.
Is that the ball? The gyro
No,
ball?
no, that was not the ball.
That's not the
Was
gyro.
that your nasal passages?
That was
No.
Enrique squeaking.
That was-
He leaned and
I-
he squeaked.
And wasn't from
There's
There's no
over
need
here.
to. Yeah, you know, being meta's fine.
Okay, I get it.
No,
I
being
got
meta's
you.
fine. I respect
You
people who
really-
talk about
All right.
whatever. That was banter.
We
and,
may have slightly veered off the game.
well, no, the game I want to talk about was Spirit Island, and you
Oh,
keep
that's
forcing
right.
us into banter,
My bad.
which is fine. I respect that
I
decision.
know that you do, and I appreciate
So
that
with
about
Spirit
you.
Island, essentially, it's kind of like Pandemic, except it's uber.
Except it sucks.
but-
I'm just wow, y'all come at me real hard. with that.
I thoroughly
Hot
enjoyed
take.
my first take of it.
Hot
first
take.
play. But I will say that imagine Pandemic, but if your character card was a little bit more complicated, it's certainly a lot more going on. And it's not just as simple as turning over a card and here comes out the colonizers. They kind of move around and build and destroy, and it's kind of neat. I enjoyed it. There's a cosmic encounter feel, is what Enrique brought up about the cards having multiple different types of little elements, all out there, the earth, wind, and fire type thing. They all play differently. It's co-op, and I like to co-op sometimes. No, I don't really like it. I said that.
That's a lie.
I don't
This is
like
straight up
co-oping. I don't like co-oping. But in this sense, I did co-op. But I think solo-wise, it may be better.
I prefer doo-wop.
Ba-doop-da-ba-doo.
Boom, 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 boom.
I thought you were talking about Hanson.
It's time to go.
I thought you were about Hanson. I thought you were talking about Hanson. Hanson.
No.
Hanson, you remember Hanson? The three
I do
blonde
remember
kids?
them.
They were really
Mbop.
too.
That's mbop, not doo-wop.
Oh, you're right. Think of Chris Hansen.
He gets predators. That would have ever made a show where like
Chris comes out.
predators in there like getting somebody's skull and neck bones for a trophy.
Chris Hansen.
Oh, wow, Mr. Predator.
Have a seat.
Have a seat. I see you have a nice fresh spine there in your hand.
Yeah, really. That's all the predator noises that they.
That's it. Besides his like flashing to the infrared.
Yeah, which I don't think that. Yeah, they do that every time they switch that
To
infrared.
Catch a Predator, starring Chris Hansen and Predator. All right, so I've given my hot take early. I shot that out there.
Predators played by Kevin Spacey. It's Kevin Spacey.
That's I don't good.
This is Kevin.
Here comes. Okay, look. No, we don't need to go down the thread.
Stop.
Here's the thing. It's too complicated for me.
Mm.
I prefer the ease and the streamlinedness of Pandemic, of what was that, Fire Rescue. This is like, take those games and make them super complicated.
Well, I have good news for you. You were gifted the streamlined version of this very game.
No, I was not, actually. I asked them about that, and they said no. Horizons is literally the same game, but with just the cheap components and a smaller board. Only plays up to 3.
They told me that the characters were streamlined.
Because I asked them several times, they're like, no, it's literally the same game, except the components are cheaper and it only plays up to 3 smaller board. And I wanted to know if there was any rules changes, and I was told no.
No, who told you?
Soul Train,
He would
Brian,
know. He would know. He would definitely know.
Geoff, I even think said that.
Geoff said it. Well, then Geoff,
Or maybe I'm misremembering.
I'm sad that you didn't enjoy your play of it.
Well, but this is one of those things, and this is me lacking self-confidence in my own opinions, is that whenever I'm faced with an overwhelming sense of, from everyone else that says this game just has so much depth and the different characters you can play and the interactions between the elements, the interactions between the characters themselves, you can play this card, it triggers this card and helps this card. I didn't really sense a whole lot of that. I know it happened, but it just didn't do much for me. It just felt like an overly complicated Pandemic, and I didn't enjoy it. Not that I didn't enjoy it. I played the game. It just didn't get me. And it did take a while for me to grok the game. Because it is kind of like the whole setup of I was like, I don't know what's going on. I did come in mid-play. But towards the end, I was understanding the concept of it, and I didn't like it.
You're correct. Horizon's just cheaper version. I'm going to play this solo because it was not on my top 10 solo list. If you listen to Solosaurus,
It's in the top of everybody's solos.
And so there you go. I'm going to solo it, so I'll know. So I'll have to table it before I pass judgment on it. But from what I've seen so far of it, I did enjoy my one round I got to play of it before I had to exit to the mega game. Speaking of Joffrey, the purveyor of small games, who I've come to know him as, because every time it seems like I'm around him, he pulls out some random small game for which we play. And so far, all of his small games, that's just his thing. I like small games from Joffrey's small games.
He has a plethora of games, of which many are small.
Yes.
Party style?
Not necessarily party style.
Just when I think of party style, I'm thinking of the complexity.
What was that?
And the time.
No. The party style is when there's a lot of people necessarily involved to make the game work, I would say.
Okay, I guess filler.
Filler, that's what you want. I think like that salad game.
Vegetable stock.
Vegetable stock. It's a stock game.
A better version of Bear Raid.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with Bear Raid.
Stop.
I'd rather play vegetable stock.
And that would make me irritated if I was the type to get irritated. But I thoroughly enjoyed vegetable stock, which is a simple game of just putting out for one card, enough cards plus one of the players there. They all have pictures of various vegetables, and everybody selects those cards, and those cards in your hands are your stock in those vegetables, and the card left behind, those stocks and those vegetables go up. If the stock goes too high, it rotates around and busts, goes back down to zero. And that's the simplicity of the game. I thoroughly enjoyed vegetable stock. It reminded me a little bit of like, if you want something a little more gamier, the Osprey games, that Star Cartel. I mean, you've played that. You don't remember it, Enrique. I can tell by your blank look. But I thoroughly enjoyed that game as well as vegetable stock. The other small game we've got to play that's like a memory style game, which we don't typically play, but I'm very good at memory games, was the Taiwanese Nana. It came out in English as Trio.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently in Taiwan, Nana is 7, but they made the game for Americans in English, and it's Trio, which is 3. And funny enough, this all makes sense because in the game, if you collect the 7 set, you win, hence the Nana. But in Americans, you're trying to collect 3 sets to win, which is the same rules. I like this game. It is
3 sets of 3.
Yes. So I liked it because it's simple. It's go fish. You have cards 1 through 13. You line them up in your hand, and you can ask somebody, show me your lowest card, your highest card, or flip one of the 9 cards that are out there to see what they might be. And you're just trying to get 3 cards. I liked it thoroughly.
I enjoyed that one as well. I did happen to win. It's one of those games I won, didn't even know I won, because the set I had purchased, the 2 sets I had won, you subtract them, they equaled 7. I won. I had a horrendous time remembering who had anything. I have a terrible memory. And on that note, we went to That's Not a Hat. Did y'all play that one?
No, we did not play that one.
I did.
That one, you're just dealt out these cards. They have these black and white pencil drawn pictures on them. Anything. Cup, glass, flower, ladder.
Just generic items.
And then you flip them over. You transfer them to the left or to the right. The card tells you what to. And you simply tell the person, that's a pen. If they had seen you just flip over a pen, they could say, okay, yeah, it is a pen. But if they didn't see you, they have to call your bluff. After a while, basically all the cards are all flipped over, and you have to remember who's given you what and in what order it is in your stack of 3. It is pure memory. I lost immediately at this game. So the thing is, if you call somebody's bluff and you are wrong, then you get that card. It's not a game of who wins. It's a game of who loses first. I lost first. I called 3 bluffs. They were all wrong. I lost the game immediately. Despite the fact I have this horrible memory, this is the style of game. Quick party game. I don't know how many it plays, but probably, the ones that were there with us, we had 5 people playing it, I think, at least 6. It probably plays, 5, 6, 7. I call that a party game. it was fun. I like this game, and I can see this being the type of game I would like to have in social situations, because often I get invited to friends' houses. They're like, "All right, Gaby, you're the party guy game." No, wait, you're the wait. What?
You're the guy who brings the party game.
Yeah,
Jesus.
You're the party guy. I'm the party guy.
You're the party guy, Gaby.
I'm the party guy.
What kind of?
Pin the tail on Gaby. So I show up. They're like, "No, you're the game guy." So any party, I'm the game guy. Hey, Gaby, bring your games. And okay, this is perfect for that. All of these games, vegetable stock, as simple as can be. That's not a hat. As simple as it can be. Nana or Trio. And we played Push.
Real good.
Push is very similar. You have 3 colors and you have numbers. I forget what the numbers go to, 2 to 6, let's say. You can line them up in up to, no more than 3 columns. You flip over the first card. If it's a green or a number, you place it in a column. If you flip over the second card, as long as it's not the same color or the same number as a previous card in that column, you can place it in the same column. If it is the same color or number, you have to place it in one of the other 3 columns. So then I would place a green 1. I've already got 1. I have to place it in the second column. If I flip over another green or another 1, it would have to go in that third column. So then you can, and it's just to push your luck. That's the name, push. So you're pushing your luck. I flip over a card. Is it a green? Is it a 1? If it's not, then I can lay it down. If it is, you've busted. You don't get to gather these cards into your collection. Everyone else does. The game is you stop, you choose a point to stop. It's kind of like can't stop-ish. It gets compared to that a lot. I way prefer Can't Stop. I did not care for this game. It's fine, but if I'm going to play this style of push your luck, I'm going to go with Can't Stop. But it's a fine game. I would not own it, but it did its job. It was fine. But I think of all the 3 or 4 that we played there, Push was at the bottom of the list. But they did their job because Joffrey was waiting for some other friends to show up and play a bigger game. So that's exactly what we did. We played these small games while waiting. They did their job.
Holy cow.
What?
Nemesis Retaliation, which is basically the next game in the Nemesis series.
Yeah.
So this is Retaliation, where you're the Marines hunting the aliens.
Retaliation.
It's only been out for a few days. 2.4 mil.
I want.
Must be nice.
Well, do you have $109? I'll order it for you.
What a...
Yeah, because I bought the last one.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
Yes,
I remember you.
I'll tell you what. And let me see here. So let me look on here.
Which we love.
So
I would like to play it again someday.
Yes, and so we'll play it again. But for this pledge, let me go over the rewards. So and this is a good. I'm wondering they're making. So you save $60 if you back it. So I'm trying to do the sales pitch. This would be great if we had a sponsor. So for the special, the core box alone, it's going to be $200 for when it comes out, but you can get it for $109 right now. And it's just the core box. Now the stretch goal for the next box, it's free. The stretch goals just come free with it. That's great. Let's see. What's the next thing that you could get on this to add to your, for $100, you can get the special edition, and it comes with higher quality minis. That's all the minis ones. That's what you want. So for $109, you get, so you have like choose your character and gear, double layer boards, character tiles are all like Marines. Like you're going out to hunt the aliens.
All right.
So it's cool. It looks cool.
So it's a reverse of, is it a reverse of you getting hunted by the aliens?
More or less.
It seems that way. It's, let's see. Let me read the actual.
It sounds like the alien is still hunting you, but it's going to be more of a...
Nemesis is a 1 to 5 player semi-co-op horror sci-fi themed board game. It is the final epic part in the Nemesis trilogy. This part you'll play as Marine Squad, fully knowing what they're getting themselves into. Prepare for a lot of fresh mechanics and better than ever cinematic moments. Basically, your friend stabbing you in the back and an onslaught of enemy horde. So yeah, you're like going in to hunt the aliens as well. So that's the thing. So yeah, pretty good. So I'll put you down.
Here's the thing.
I'll tell you what.
Have the.
Halves.
Yeah, halves.
Wait, look at all these games.
I'm joking.
This level of game, this is my issue with
I'll
these
tell you
types
what.
of games.
I'll even paint it. I'll paint it for you.
Get it, Enrique. You're loaded with cash. How much money you got?
I don't know.
Thousands and thousands
He's flushed
of dollars.
with cash.
Thousands
If
and thousands.
he would flash his bank account, the women,
would
the
be-
ladies would be all over.
It would
him.
be embarrassing. I would be envious myself.
Ignore females, pursue currency. That's what I always say.
This style of game, the Nemesis line, it's huge. It's hard to get to the table because there's a billion parts to it. The rules are, while they're simple, you do have to refresh yourself. It's one of those games, to me, it's one of those games you're going to play maybe once a year.
Yeah, it is a like an event game.
Yes. And so we have played the first one, not the first one, the second one time.
Yeah,
Lockdown.
which was
I would
great.
like to just go back to it at least one more time
Well,
before we play
good
the
news,
next one.
This one won't be out for about a year, so see, we have plenty of time.
We got time.
Got time. Plus, when we do our other RPG, our Alien solo RPG, we use a lot of the parts out
I
of
look
that.
very forward to that.
Okay.
I'm
We
gonna
need
have
more
fun with it.
people.
How many?
Well, grab
We can
Bubba.
get them.
All right.
Grab Bubba.
Good people.
Grab DJ.
DJ's good.
You know DJ's going to
DJ. Deej.
DJ.
All right.
Okay, well, we can list them out. We can list our friends later. Is that it? I think that's. Oh, y'all need to discuss ancient knowledge real quick.
It was god awful.
I was okay with it.
It was
It
one
was
of the most boring games I've ever played. Ancient Knowledge by LO Games. LO.
We haven't discussed Worlds of Wonder.
I know. Why are you rushing me along?
Sorry.
Why you
I don't know.
interrupt?
One game at a time.
I wish you could. I'm glad you interrupted me to tell me that. I'm glad.
sorry.
I respect that.
I understand
You're
where
the-
I've made a mistake.
No, you didn't make a mistake. I'm
Oh.
telling. I appreciate all that you do to keep this
Well-
podcast in line. And if I can, I will continue talking about one of the worst games I've ever played, called Ancient Knowledge by LO Games, which is a card game where you just put a card down and you slide it.
I wonder if it would have been hard for them to call themselves LL Cool Games.
Oh yes.
I mean, would you have to get permit? You obviously couldn't get permit. I mean, he's not going to. Like, with,
LL Cool Games.
can you patent a name?
Why not?
Could you call yourself LL Cool Games? Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Done.
This
Trademark and circle. Copyright.
licking your lips.
All right,
LL Cool.
continue on. I did not play this game. While I was playing Worlds of Wonder, which we'll discuss here momentarily, I look across the aisle at Jerry and Enrique playing Ancient Knowledge, and Jerry is miserable.
It was too. So when I sat down, I looked at the box of the game, and it said 30 minutes. I'll trash 30 minutes and fight through any game. The person who read the rule book, which took like 45 minutes to read this god-awful rule book, because the mechanisms in this game are so stupid. Literally, some of the most doled down idea. It's awful. All right, let me just. It does so many things that are pet peeves for me for a board game, but all that you're doing, laying down these cards on top of your player aid, and then moving them down until they fall off the board, and hopefully you get the little bits of ancient knowledge off of them before they fall off and become minus victory points. And playing cards it's just lay down a card. And you want to pick up a card? Pick up a card. And it didn't help that I looked at the board wrong, the box wrong. It's not 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes per player.
Oh, God.
So this quick card game, which is what it should have been, was an over 2-hour slog with the teach. And I was so bored to tears and playing with people, half of which I did not know, that seemed bent on completing the game rather than just stopping. And to my chagrin, when it was over, they said, yeah, this is really kind of not a great game. I was like, well, why did we play through it? It was obvious. I could not have cared less about this game. It is a disappointment.
Yeah.
Absolute from the artwork in it, which was drab.
I was just about to ask you, because the board looks pretty so the art's bad.
Yeah, it's very drab and it's themeless, and you don't even really know what you're doing. Like, I could not give you a good idea of what the actual theme was. I thought at first was you're this ancient civilization that's developing, but then you're utilizing ancient knowledge, so you're like an archaeologist.
Here you go, real quick.
I feel like it's more
Heirs to an exceptional knowledge that has survived the ages, it is now up to you to preserve the vestige of your civilization.
That's still who knows?
That's still
Who
themed.
knows?
Very
Who knows?
broad.
Because for me, this is more like archaeology, historians.
Archaeologically,
By Yellow.
I can't say.
I
words,
really don't know.
And Remy Mathieu was the designer.
I did not find it
It was
at all engaging and was bored to tears.
That's disappointing. I hate when you get stuck in. Okay, so in regards to that, amount of hits versus misses this con for you.
Last Light, which was the number one game of the con for people, it was the most played according to the stats. And Roy Canaday even commented that it was like a release party for him, even though he wasn't there. I thought that Last Day was good. It's all right. Last Night, Light, whatever. It's all right. It's. I could see why people like it. I'm not hating on it.
I would play it again.
It was fine. It is fine.
It's a 6 out of 10 as I give it.
Yeah. The hit for me of the con that I thoroughly enjoyed was that The Wonderful World.
Yeah.
World Wonder. Again.
World Wonders.
One of those games that when I looked at it, I
by
thought,
Zay Mendez.
this is not going to be a game I'm going to enjoy because it's tile. You're laying down little Tetris pieces.
Yes.
Just like in My City, which was good, and just like in Planet Unknown, which was fine. And it's like, okay, so you're just laying down these pieces and these little other tiles that match this requirements till you can build one of the cool looking 3D wonders. Okay, that's the game. And the rules are very simple with all that you're doing. Then the game kind of just does this one little few things that change it from just a very calm and sedate little tile laying game into something that's a little more competitive. Number one, it's monetary system that it uses. Every time you spend money, you move your little slider to show how much money you've spent. You can only spend, I believe it's like $7 without taking a loan. And each of the pieces that are very limited when they come out each round, those are limited to what you're buying. They cost X amount of money. That's neat because all the players are vying for the roads and the other buildings that you want to build. And so people chronically take what you want. Then you're trying to build your little town the way that you want it so that you can actually put the wonder out next to it in the correct spot. That gives you a goal to work towards, which is, again, very interesting. And all the 3 games of this game that I played, we all were able to build all the wonders onto our board. And after the game was over, our boards looked interesting. They weren't just flat. They had roads and little sections of town and then these 3D neat little wooden pieces that looked like these various wonders. The scoring was very tight. I would go far to say
surprise of the con.
The best Tetris type game I've ever played. Like that Tetranomino, whatever they call it, tile laying. Everybody knows how I feel about these goofy romantic tile laying games and junk like that. I don't really like those at all. This game, however, this got me. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It was competitive. It offers some good decisions over what's coming out, how to manage your money, and what to get. And it's quick. It's boom, 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 boom.
Enrique?
I think Jerry's covered it all.
Thank you.
That's swell. You can't think. You know what? I'm not going to force you into convert. We discussed this when we're talking.
That he just his silence is deafening.
I get it. But on a previous,
I understand what you want from me.
I don't know that you do. But on a previous podcast, we just discussed.
That was really hard.
I'm sorry. You know what? I respect that you respect that I respect that we all respect. Here's the thing.
I'm glad I called that out.
I'm glad I respect that you did.
I put it on my Twitter.
I see you. Mm-hmm. I acknowledge you.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to hear you.
We just want. So on a previous podcast, episode 281, I believe it was.
282.
No, it's 281.
Okay.
282 was Den of Wolves.
Yeah, that's right.
Episode 281, we set up this hypothetical scenario in which Enrique was trying to approach someone of which he might be interested in. And we did scenarios of how to approach them. You may not remember that.
I remember it clearly.
I vaguely remember it.
And
I noticed you playing some Azul.
Enrique was
What was that?
So the thing that we come down to was Enrique needs to learn how to basically
communicate.
Yeah.
Speaketh.
And there's a difference between speak using words, and you're just and there's people that do that, and they just blah 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 blah. They're running at the mouth. They're saying
I
nothing.
know a few of them.
They're saying nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm asking is, can you just, even though Jerry has said things,
It's just input,
That-
basically.
could you come up with something? It's kind of like it's almost like a improv thing. What can you
okay.
come up with
What typically
to
happens
discuss this game?
on certain other podcasts and YouTube board game videos is that one person says the thing and the
Mhm.
other person just takes what the other person said and just rewords it. And then
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
Oh, well, like,
and
I
that's a
always-
big hit for some reason.
That was huge.
I just always
huge.
think that's just
It's huge.
kind of just time wasting, I feel like.
Do you feel like it's time
So
wasting?
you don't want us
Just to
to
reword.
rephrase what
Yeah,
they
to
said.
reword. I always thought that was just kind of.
I'm saying the same words just in a different order.
I said what you said, but with a different cadence. Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Let's just do this. This is much better being this meta. Gaby, ask me about insert game here.
How do you feel about World of Wonders?
I felt that game was sufficient enough for our sponsors, and I enjoyed playing that game with my friends. But there was one thing that I was puzzled about. But don't worry about that. You might not be that kind of person. This game is good for those types of persons. If you are that
very
persons.
generic
Oh
of you.
my
Thank
God.
you for that non-opinion.
You're welcome, Gaby.
Enrique, how did you feel about this generic game?
I thought it was fine.
It was fine.
I-
And thank you to our sponsor who wants us to be somewhat positive towards the games that we're discussing because they published this podcast.
You're scoundrel, you.
You scoundrel.
God.
Oh,
Let's be
you're
humorous.
always saying things which are so controversial. Perhaps.
Oh, how? And then you say something slightly edgy, and all the fans love it.
Why must you put me through this?
Oh, I'm wearing a colorful tie.
Oh,
I swear.
don't.
Please look behind me at the nerd paraphernalia for
Don't.
which I.
Don't be every YouTube gaming podcast there is.
I am not.
If they could see my room, what do you think?
Look at my wild facial hair that is ungroomed. Your room, which first off, the thing I like about your room.
Go ahead, please. This is going to warm the cockles of my heart.
So I am not.
If you're being sincere.
I am being serious.
Okay.
You've seen my office.
Yeah.
I'm not good at decorating. I can't
I
decorate.
think me and you are about the same.
Well, I can't like if you said here's all that you'll ever want,
Uh-huh.
I couldn't figure out how to decorate something. Your room,
I would just throw up stuff I like, which is what I've done.
which is what you've done. So you have this large picture of the Enterprise, of the schematic of said Enterprise.
Love.
You have Wolverine and Spider-Man, the retro kind of comic things, and then you
Love.
have all the things for which I would not get, which are autographs of famous people. You've got the lady from Battlestar Galactica, that dude from Warehouse
Caprica
13,
6. Yes.
and then you got Avery Brooks.
Yes.
The
Shows I'm
who
fine.
got shafted on Picard, which was awful.
Okay. Can I say this?
Say it.
Let's discuss Avery
Please,
Brooks.
Gaby, say what you're about to say.
Let me be edgy for just a moment. No, seriously. Avery Brooks. So
OG, Sisko.
I'm going to say this, and it's going to hurt me to say it.
Say what? What?
A friend of mine went to a Comic-Con in Dallas,
Yes.
in which Avery Brooks attended.
Yes.
I told her, I said, Avery Brooks is going to be there.
Yes.
He's Captain Sisko, DS9.
Yes.
Please get his autograph and tell him to say, thank you, Captain Moraga. Have a good day. Something of that effect. Avery Brooks said to her, is he here? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to sign it like I want.
Wow.
Apparently, he's kind of a douche.
I like that a lot. I like that a whole lot.
It was, I don't know if you, it does not matter. I'm going to discuss a personal friend of mine.
But I still like that.
But she was like, he was not going to say what you wanted because you were not there requesting it.
That's true.
And he said, I'm not going to say what you want.
That's that.
And he did not. He said to Mr. Moraga, Avery Brooks.
Well, first
But
off,
I still treasure that.
you
I display
you
it.
decided you usurped the rank of captain, and he's thought they're not worthy.
You don't deserve it.
You don't deserve it.
You got to show up.
You didn't show up.
Caprica 6, I have 2 of hers.
Nice notice.
I've
Which
showed
is
up to hers.
quite odd.
I might be a stalker at this
Maybe.
point.
Which one of them beside Gina, your husband is gorgeous.
Trisha
And
Helfer.
Yes, and the other one is please stop following me. So it's like they are weird. They are weird.
And this guy, sadly, I literally cannot remember his name nor his name in the show, but he comes from Eureka, a sci-fi show, very lighthearted. It was on the Sci-Fi Network. Very lighthearted. I loved the feel of the show. It was basically Northern Exposure with sci-fi.
Okay.
Just a wonky feel. Loved it. I have those. What else were you going to say about my room?
Well, just I
have a Han Solo poster. I have Back to the Future. I have Superman, my favorite comic book character of all time, because he is the comic book character of all time. Does he make it difficult to have... he breaks a lot of rules. Like when you have Superman, it's like, who else do you need? Nobody. Unless you got this green rock on you.
Yeah. Oh, my one weakness, minerals. It's just, what should I do? If only I had a friend that could control everything that's green with his ring. I don't even know if that's true. I appreciate the fact that you asked me to describe your room and I started to, and you just did it for me. That's fine.
Sorry.
So I have no.
I interrupted you, which you now respect.
It's fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter that you told me to do something and then proceed to do it yourself.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. There's no need. There's no offense taken.
I hate myself now.
That's just fine. You have a bunch of Clyde Klussler books that you don't read.
I've read them.
I'm sure they look riveting.
They're Dirt Pit ripoffs. Clive Cussler took a format, Dirt Pit, Al Giordino, and said, "Let me apply this to everything."
And he's living it up. And then you got a bunch of classics, which I know you haven't read. Not to mean that in any way, other than the fact that I know you have not read those.
They are The Picture of Dorian Gray, War and Peace.
So I'm just going to say,
I have not read them. No, Sade has read The Picture of Dorian Gray. She loved it.
Really?
Which mind boggles me. Not that she read it, but that she loved it.
she is intelligent enough to read that on her own and understand it.
That is not what I'm talking about. I just didn't think that she would like.
On this podcast, we do not like anything resembling hate speech. Please accept our deepest apologies.
Quick question. I'm sidetracked. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead with the book.
Favorite author?
I really like Kurt Vonnegut. I've enjoyed all of his.
I don't want to correct you and say Vonnegut.
I've heard Vonnegut.
You have. You might be right. That's a language.
I don't know. I say Vonnegut because it sounds like It's kind of like when they say Van Gogh.
Right.
Or Van Gogh.
Right.
It's been Van Gogh.
One of these two knows what they're saying. The other looks like a fool.
But Van Gogh is not how you pronounce it. It's apparently Van Gogh or whatever.
Okay.
But anyways. But yes,
So you like this classic literary guy.
I do enjoy that classic literary guy. Now I will say, in terms of just if I had to grab a book of his that Michael, again, another author whose name I mispronounce all the time, Crichton or Crichton.
I always said Crichton.
I say it. I've said it wrong so long I don't know which one is right. But yeah, all of his stuff has been, even ones I thought would be very, very boring were actually good.
If I was to choose an author I thought was my favorite, I was going to go Michael Crichton. I have several of his books. Timeline being my number one book of all time. Airframe would be his Ishtar.
I actually enjoyed that one.
His Hudson Hawk.
I find that his books, he is the type of writer which I would want to be.
His Long Kiss Goodnight.
That was a good show.
I actually enjoy that show a lot.
I do too. Is that Gina Davis?
Where she's Samuel Jackson.
She's
a sleeper agent.
Ripped toward dad.
I know.
And she's like digging into his pants for his gun.
They jump out that window and she's shooting into the ice on her way down.
It's stupid.
Oh my God, I love that show.
It's such an awful show.
And that's what's crazy. That's the thing.
It's all sad I remembered that.
But Airframe, I just found very boring. What's worse though is his Pirates of Latitude.
I didn't watch that one.
It's a book.
I didn't watch it either. Didn't watch it. Didn't read it.
I will not watch this book. It was his unfinished book that gets finished by other authors,
Yeah.
and they finished it. So, like, they had the bare bones. It
Yeah.
was super boring to
I
me.
bet so. Well, he takes subjects and then studies them and then goes, I'm going to write a book.
But you have a guy. So when I first broke it, the first book of his I read, I was like in middle school, had completely no knowledge, just bam, I read Sphere. Freaking amazing.
Oh,
just
yeah.
blew my mind at what can happen in a book.
We've moved
Do you
past this
remember?
board game.
Do you remember your first? And I don't mean this in the terminology as it sounds these days, but your first adult novel.
Yes, I do.
Something that was not Nancy Drew or the Hardy Boys.
Yes, I do.
What was
It
it?
was the Bible. No, just Song of Solomon. That slapped. So I was dyslexic and, of course, practically illiterate, even at a older age than what I should have, and so I had to learn to read at a much older age. And the thing that motivated me to read was I had discovered by that time those Calvin and Hobbes books, and so I was trying to read those. And so that's not a book, I know, but that was the thing that had me going. And so I would always go to the library and get basically the compiled Bill Watson or I think it's Watson or Watterson comic book strips of Calvin and Hobbes and rent those. And there was one day that the librarian there, the little old lady, who'd always poking her business in there and everybody's business, poking her nose in everybody's business, saying, "Listen, why don't you read, the classics? Like start reading those." And I was homeschooled, so I didn't know what the classics were. So I remember going over to their section and just picking out at random one book and going, "This is it. This is what I'll start with," because it just seemed like it was just what was there. And then the librarian acted like I had picked out something that was like naughty. And she's like, "Oh, the first band, and she gave me all these facts about this book. It was Catcher in the Rye. I'm like,
Never read it. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is this a bad book? Like, what's the thing about it? She's like, "Oh, it's Catcher in the Rye." Da, da, da. Anyways, so I took off with it, and reading it, that was quite the eye opener, because it was very, it was just incredibly. If you read Catcher in the Rye when you're young, it's different when you read it when you're old. It changes, because it's like when you're young, you can halfway understand what this kid's going through. When you're older, he just sounds whiny. It does. Your perception of your own age changes the book, which is kind of amazing.
So did you read it twice?
Yes, I've read it once when I was young, and then I reread it and realized, oh, I don't feel the same way about it. I went back and
I've never reread a book.
Oh, yes. I went back, and there are several that I got into going through. Like, I read Crime and Punishment. That was the first really, like, dark, all these Russian names and all this. I'm like, man, this is interesting. And then finally, I ended up hitting on, there are several that fell flat for me. I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head now. Probably pushed them to the side, but there was ones that like, stuck with me. Like Frankenstein was another one right in that same time period. I love Frankenstein. It made perfect sense what was going on to me, like what was going on in the book and what the characters were all feeling and experiencing. And then finally, my favorite book and the one I reread the most out of all was Slaughterhouse-Five. And Slaughterhouse-Five was the one that was like the easiest to ever read ever.
I need to read that. You said that's your favorite book for a while.
Easiest to read, and I read the edition that had his opening comments and just kind of get you into the preamble of the book. And it's just him going on about stuff. And then it eventually gets into the opening where he's mad about, he wrote a book about the bombing of Dresden and was upset that nobody read it. And he said, basically, okay, you people are all idiots. And because you won't read something that's important, then you should know about it. I'm going to write this stupid novel about time travel and people being unstuck in time and Billy Pilgrim, and then
I'm interested now myself.
It's like, and then you'll read it, you ignorant.
He wrote that for me.
He says that like because you people are so deluded and stupid, I'm going to dumb this down so you can get it. And I love that opening.
That's Slaughterhouse-Five.
Yeah, that was so. Yeah, and that's in the opening of Slaughterhouse-Five. He says because you're such a moron and you won't sit down and understand history. You're so stupid. Read this.
I think you like it because he's angry.
I liked it, and I thought. And so when he says this, I'm like, yes, I want to read this. And there's something in that book So the aliens in this book, to give you an idea, it's basically this guy who went to World War II, experienced the bombing of Dresden. He's like a dentist, or I forget now what. He's something respectable, optometrist or something goofy. And it's going to bother me now that I forgot that part. But this old man now starts talking about how he was kidnapped by aliens and traveled through time, and starts telling about this weird things that took place. And then it goes back to when he was in World War II, and it goes through that experience. Basically, he's talking to like a radio going on about all these things. And so the aliens experience time all at once. So they can experience when they were born.
Time is a flat circle.
They're it's a thing. Like they know death. They know it all. So they're just existing in their timeline. Right. It's not like a one-way track where you get to the end and you're dead. It's like, okay,
it's not linear.
Yeah, they can go back and forth in their own thing. They're not affecting it. Right. They're just reliving their experiences. And so they're very nonchalant, which is the great thing. And so like in their like language, it's just so it goes. So it's like, oh, this thing happened and it blew up. And
is that a phrase?
So it goes.
And so it goes?
It says so it goes. And so it's like something happened and it killed this people. And they're like, oh, so it goes. So it's like, because it doesn't matter to them. Mm-hmm. Like, because in their mind, it's like, why are you worried about this? Because they already have experienced their death, their birth, and everything in between.
It doesn't end things for them.
And they just keep going. So it's so it goes. And so it's like, just experience something different. And that phrase was just like, anyways, it's just such a easily readable book. It's incredibly easy. And when you read through it, you'll want to read through it again to have a fresh picture of what you now understand about it.
When was it written? 50s?
Well,
I'm just like, to me, like when you say Slaughterhouse 5, Kurt Vonnegut, I'm thinking, it sounds like from the 50s. I have no concept of why I think that. To me, I'm just thinking, because if it's my hard problem with like, oh my God.
It was published 69.
Okay. So yes.
Nice.
Definitely I can read that. But my problem is with like books like I don't even know about Pictures of Dorian Gray. What's the one that's got, oh my God, it was my mom's favorite book, and it's got like Rafe Fiennes was in it. And it's like him and a woman, and there's these cliffs.
Constant Gardener.
No, it's a book. It's a classic book. It's been redone several times, but Rafe Fiennes was in one of the movies where he played the main guy.
English Patient.
No, a classic book.
I'm sorry, I'm just naming Rafe Fiennes stuff.
And he's like, has this house, and is like, he's an old rich man basically, and this girl comes and they fall in love.
I have no idea. That's every white person movie. Old white person.
No, it's a classic book. I cannot think of it.
It's not. If Bubba was here, Bubba's listening to this. He's listening to this right now, yelling at you. Not Bronte. It's not Emily Bronte's book.
It's one of the Brontes, I feel.
Not something.
Wuthering Heights.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My mama's favorite book and one of her favorite movies, Wuthering. She loved Rafe Fiennes.
Rafe Fiennes is it.
Rafe is fine. I forget where I was going because I made that stupid pun. Okay, so Kurt Vonnegut, this book, I had no comprehension, no idea that this book was like sci-fi-ish.
Oh, yeah, it's all sci-fi.
Even though he's like, hey, these are real events. Now I got to make it sci-fi for you to comprehend it, which is all sci-fi.
Yeah.
That's what Star Trek is. Oh, hey, there's racial issues. Yeah. Let me create an alien, a green alien that represents this class of people that everybody hates.
It's the same thing as in, like, nobody remembers the firebombing of Dresden and all the horrible things that happened because of the nuclear bombs that went off in Japan. And everybody says, oh, look at this. But they completely ignore that in comparison how awful that was. But because it was a long, drawn-out thing for a time period and not just one sentinel event, that's what causes it. So that was like some of the things that got them upset. Is like, why are y'all worried about a nuclear bomb that killed this many people? Look what's happening over here. Do y'all not remember this? And like, if you talk about the firebombing of Dresden and all the other bombings that took place in Germany, nobody remembers it. Like, literally, people look at you weird. Like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But you say like a nuclear bomb, like, oh yeah, Oppenheimer and all that. No. It's something. It's a point in history that's just blanked out because people are that way, and so we just ignore things, and we chose to ignore that. That's not covered in any history, And he was upset about it and going, this is what I experienced and this is what you have to understand. And when nobody was interested in it, he's like, well, I'm just going to do this thing instead.
So then when I say my first novel looks foolish compared to yours, you were talking about your favorite. My first adult novel was Cyclops by Dirk Pitt, which is just like all his others.
When you said Cyclops, I thought the Odyssey.
No, okay. Just Cyclops by by Clive Cussler.
That was Jack's first book, by the way.
Which one?
The Odyssey? Yeah, that's his favorite.
By
book.
Homer?
Yes,
really.
That's his favorite book.
Wow.
I cannot tell you how many times that book has either been read to him, or he's read it, or he has listened to that book.
That was my first adult novel. Then I read all of Clive Cussler's. My only foray into classic literature.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, like, Lord of the Rings type stuff, was Robert A. Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land, which I think I've discussed briefly on this podcast before.
That one.
It's weird.
I like reading weird.
It's like a Mars Jesus comes to Earth. And it is weird.
Bruno?
It is weird. It is weird, man. I'm just like, and that's where that grok, I didn't realize that's where grok comes from.
I thought that's John Carter.
Robert A. Heinlein.
Oh, okay.
No, John Carter's, I forget that author's name, but no, it's not him.
No.
So the word grok that I first heard Sam Healy use on the Dice Tower, I'm like, what is this word? I look it up, Strange Land. Then years later, I end up reading the book. I'm like, they use grok in this book.
So was your first adult book just read a few years ago or what?
No, I mean, I read Cyclops
when
I was a child
in
middle school, I would say, because before that I was reading pretty much Nancy Drew Hardy.
Moby Dick. I remember reading Moby Dick. I read all the classics.
I've never read one of the quote unquote classics.
Yeah.
Never. Even Lord of the Flies.
Haven't read that.
We were supposed to read it in school. I never read it. It just, I was completely, if it wasn't Star Wars, Star Trek, space related, I would not read it.
Oh, there's tons of sci-fi books that would.
I'm sure you could read like Arthur C. Clarke's 2001 is a classic, not just movie wise, but book wise. Never read it.
Yeah.
I wonder what the classic space books are.
Blindside, which I just read here a while back, that Peter Wants. Or what? Yeah. His was the one about consciousness and is it evolutionary advantageous to people. I did not particularly like that one. And of course, Hyperion and all that Dan Simmons' books.
Hyperion's one of Bubba's favorite books.
I keep starting it, and I need
Sade read it, and she did a super weird.
You have to be in the right headspace for that, and there's certain ones like that where you're reading. I've found that I can't hardly do sci-fi because I can't picture it.
Unless, do you consider Orson Scott Card a classic? I don't think so. It's modern classic.
We talk about Orson Scott, all of the
Ender's Game. Yeah. Okay, I read Ender's Game, like all of those.
Yeah, Ender's Game is all right. But I can't picture,
Children of the Mind.
I can't picture something. I can't picture something in my mind's eye when I'm reading. So it's like my wife is a voracious reader, and I can't sit here and go, this person looks like this, and this is this, and this is what this thing is.
I can't.
I have problems with that.
And this is one of those things. It's like when I was younger, I read I loved reading. I've read all of Clive, Dirk Pitt, but I was biased towards sci-fi adventure type stuff. All of Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park, all that crap when it all came out.
Love Jurassic Park.
Read it all. Prey, Prey should be a movie.
I need to read that one. I did not get through it.
Is
that the
nanites?
nanobites? Yes, nanobites.
What?
That's like the little foods.
So, but all of those books I read, I loved reading when I was much younger, and I could envision, and I think that's why I liked it so much, because when they came out with Sahara, a Clive Cussler novel starring Matthew McConaughey, you could not have nailed that character's physicality better than
I'm
Matthew
like
McConaughey.
the only person who liked this film, I thought. I went and watched it.
I found it very enjoyable.
Don't know why it bombed.
And I think that's only because I like the characters, even though Al Giordino looks nothing like Al Giordino of the book, but I love Steve Zahn. I like the chemistry they had. Sahara, I thought it was adventurous enough. I like the theme music, the adventure music. It was fine. It bombed.
Well, it's the same thing because I'm a big fan of the Audrey Madwin, Master and Commander books, and that was like Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
They were going to make a series of that, and I've gone on and on about it, like all 23 books of those. I've read those. I love those. And he was apparently a big fan of it too. And they've even talked about it recently about giving it another go because that show won so many Oscars and stuff. I mean, it was a huge movie for them, but it's like, nobody's going to watch this, but it just depends. Like same thing with this Napoleon movie. Like I love Napoleon. I love the story of Napoleon. He's a great historical character to kind of understand, but you can't do it in 2 hours. You cannot do it in 2 hours. Like you can only, I mean, that's the thing is like streaming has kind of gotten people into the idea of how you can just watch a character develop over time. And it's just,
they need to put it on Max or Apple TV or something.
Yeah. You have to put it on there and go, all right, we're going to have a mini series and it'd be 6 hours long. And you watch this and really we don't have to cut something out. There's like a 4-something hour Napoleon cut. And it's like insane to think about that, but there's no way you can tell the story of it. There's just, you can't do a documentary.
You're putting a person's life in 2 hours.
Yeah, a documentary is just some guy telling you about it.
Even if it is a specific time period in a person's life, it's like you put that in 2 hours.
Oh, you have
difficult.
to jump around.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to. It's
you're going to miss so much.
Yeah, and it doesn't give you the full overview of what's going on. But yeah, it's there's certain movies like that, and there's certain classics. Speaking of classics, because I want to kill a sacred cow. And this is a game that you don't particularly like either, which is El Grande. And so I mentioned.
And we're back to board games.
Well, I feel the need to address this because I've given this way too much thought. I should not have thought.
Everyone on our Facebook group disagreed with you,
right? Which is like when that happens. And first off, I know that affects you because you're the type of person that wants people to be agreeable.
No, because I feel the same way as you about El Grande.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't care because I'm the type of person that it doesn't matter if there was 1 million people that didn't agree with me. But I am always interested in wondering why am I the outlier? Mm-hmm. So when there's something that everybody else enjoys and I'm like, I don't like this.
I feel the same way about Spirit Island.
Right. Well, so first off, and I appreciate the reasons that people have gave regarding El Grande. And here's where I feel like I made the fault is that we played other games before we played El Grande. Other games that are very similar like it. For instance, I believe when we did the review of El Grande like years ago, we'd already played A King is Dead. We've already played Tammany Hall. There are tons of other games that were like area influence type things, even Guilds of London, things of that nature, that I just felt like they're better than this. Like, I'm not interested in this game. It's kind of themeless. You're just moving meeples around. And that was my take on it. The new version of this game is beautiful, by the way. Like, they went, we're going to do taupe, but we're going to do bright taupe type things. And it's still the same gameplay. Lay a card that's numbered 1 through 13, take your meeples, and who's ever the highest gets to go first and pick one of these 4 or 5 action cards, depending on the players. Very simple. Move your guys around the board, around the king and whatnot. And it dawned on me when I talked about it on the Facebook page. I think David Allen was going on about how it was like perfectly, this game is like nearly perfect in terms of its design. And I got to thinking about that. I don't think I'd argue with him with that, because I think the design of what it intends to do, that El Grande is a classic. Like, it does exactly what it sets out to do. It has, my fault on it is that the thing that I look for whenever I have this map and this feel, is I'm looking for, I have a game plan, I have my troops, I'm moving my troops, I have a long-term strategy. I found that I cannot strategize during this game. Like, it boils down to where I have to be able to react and pick a card after all the cards have come out. Like, everybody lays down their number cards. So I'm going second. So this guy now takes his turn. Okay, now I have 3 cards to pick from. Which one am I going to pick? And now I have to start thinking. And it didn't dawn on me until I thought about it with El Grande, is that's a rub for me for any, what I deem to be a strategy game. is when I can't make any long-term decisions. I can't go, I'm going to take this area by doing this and doing this. And if they try to stop me here, I'm going to do this. El Grande is, okay, now it's your turn. Do something. And you look and go, well, obviously, out of these 3 cards, I can do this and move my guys here, and hopefully I'll get this. And I can come up with the best laid plans, but those other 2 people after me can screw me over in a way that it didn't matter what I did. I think that's what gets me about El Grande. Now, as it's for its design, it's a beautifully designed game. I do think it's an evergreen. When I say evergreen, I mean it's like one of those games I think everybody should play at least once. But I look at it because I played it, and I played it after I had played other games similar, and in my opinion is better. Thus, this game just doesn't hold water for me. And I think you did the same thing. We played it at the same time, and it was just, we played other things that did it differently and better, in our opinion.
It's been improved upon.
It's been improved upon in the aspects that we find important.
Yeah.
And there's something, there's no other game that does what El Grande does. It is the quintessential area influence game. Like just like Chinatown's the / Waterfall, the negotiation game. Like this is pure negotiation. This is pure area influence. I think it's an important game. It's Spiel des Jahres winner, isn't it? And it's one of those games. But it's just like when you see those movies, like Citizen Kane and all those movies from the past. Some of them hold up and some of them don't. But even the ones that don't hold up for you, you can still appreciate back in the day. This was it.
My thing with El Grande and for me, any area control game of that style, they're all pretty much tactical.
Yes.
Because even Godfather, which we love quite a bit, you might own a region for one moment and then the next you're blown out of the water. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than maybe your position on if you're going first or second. But that's Godfather related. But because I don't think the first player has a strong position in the Godfather.
Ooh, anyways, I'd argue against that. I respect your opinion.
I would say whoever goes last has the stronger.
I would say that
you could blast them out of the water.
We'll see.
Okay. Anyway, so I would just say a lot of these area influence games are tactical. It is hard to make a game plan because when you're fighting against 1, 2, or especially 3 or more people, you're going to get blasted out of the water. And it's just super difficult to plan long term. I would say the only game that fights against that is Barony. Not the only game, but that's a broad statement.
I like broad statements.
One of the games that fights against that is Barony, because once you establish a place, as long, especially, yes, smaller things, but once you establish the big city or whatever it is, the castle, I've forgotten the terminology.
Castillo.
Once you've established that big one, bam, you're done. You've established your area.
Right.
I've forgotten El Grande. It's been years since I've played it.
El Grande does this thing that when I played El Grande, I was thinking, you know what? I would just play Royals.
Sweet baby Rio.
No, your cat. I would just play Royals.
I love Royals.
And I realized that El Grande is kind of a step up a little bit from Royals. It's not enough of a step up, but you're right about that assessment about it being a tactical thing of where you're now in certain games. I don't mind the idea of now it's your turn. Now plan something, do something now. There's certain games where I'm fine with that, but here's why the King is Dead kind of affected that for me. It was King is Dead. You don't get like 8 cards. Everybody has the same 8 cards. I know the cards in King is Dead. I'll never memorize all the moves in El Grande. I'll never be able, and they randomly come out. King is Dead is this many turns. You're going to play these cards and you're done. And there is no massive shift. Everything is like a trickle of one little thing of you moving here, moving here. El Grande is this player does this thing, and now he's moved 5 of your guys over here and put his guys here. And it's like there's a massive shift each time that you cannot plan for. You cannot observe and go, this is probably what the other player is about to do. This is where they're going. It just happens, and then you're down for the ride. There's nothing wrong with a game like that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a game like that. It's just in terms of long-term strategy, when I'm playing a game that is similar to El Grande, I don't like that.
So what you're saying is, this is El Grande. It's a game that does this. If you enjoy this style of play, this game's for you.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But I would go a little bit further to say, if I was going to be controversial, which I won't be, because this is a generic podcast.
We love to be generic.
And we love to be generic. I would
need
say
them numbers.
This might not be for me, but it might be for you. You should probably play this with your friends. I would say that El Grande, if you thoroughly enjoy it, it's because you played it during the time period of your gaming life in which it hit that spot because that's the spot you were at.
Nostalgic.
That not necessarily just nostalgia, but also that's the game, and you can appreciate it for what it is. I still appreciate it for what it is. I just don't have a need for it.
That style of game, you know what I would rather play? You mentioned Royals, but that's like a step up from Ticket to Ride.
I can think of Royals, King is Dead, things of that nature.
Right there beside Enrique. That's the one I'm thinking.
Shogun?
Yeah.
Shogun, and that's another
very similar.
That's another interesting thing you brought. Is Shogun has the same weird little tower where you're putting stuff in, things coming out. Shogun is much more interesting to me, and I thought the same thing when I was reading the Facebook comments about how great El Grande is. It is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking El Grande, but I'm saying if you're one of those people who think El Grande is that great, play Shogun. I think
El Grande means great.
Yeah, it's like, how pompous is that?
The Grand.
Play Shogun with that timing, with those cards and the actual area, not just influence, but control and all that it has done. Shogun, I want to play Shogun again just so that I can wrap my mind. All El Grande did when I played it, as I'm sitting there, made me think, I want to play Shogun, I want to play King is Dead, and I want to play Royals again. And when we were done, I was like, I would play all three of those. This is why I don't own this game. Looks beautiful. I would recommend it to people. If you're an incoming new gamer and you've not played it, this edition, and you want to try this out, there you go. Do I need to own it? Absolutely not. And that's why. And it dawned on me the reason why is because I'm a snob. That's why. Is that I as per definition, I will root out something that I feel like I don't necessarily need. And that's what I did.
You've progressed as a gamer, and that's okay.
Well, I don't even know if it's progression. It's just being picky. Because you can. It's not a sign of, if you have El Grande, doesn't mean you haven't progressed. But if you have El Grande, the King is Dead, and all these ones, you've not. You're holding on. You've got too much. You progress by thinning down the herd, because that's what snobs do. It's not about excess. It's about exclusivity.
And on that note, I think that's going to do it for this episode, a rather lengthy episode of the Board Game Snobs podcast.
How long is it?
We're, before editing, hour and a half.
Oh, that's way too long.
1 hour and 33 minutes, 50. Almost hold on. 1 hour, 34 minutes.
Right. It's good.
All right. Well, that's going to do it. Thank you for listening to this episode. Those of you that are listening, and what our next episode?
Those of you who aren't listening, well, we'll get you back. We'll get you.
I don't know what the next episode will contain because we've not gotten there yet.
We're about to find out.
I'm Gaby.
This is Jerry.
This is it.
Thank you for tolerating this episode of the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.